Extract 1. Questions 1 to 12. You hear a nurse talking to a patient called Peter Parker. For questions 1 to 12, complete the notes with a word or a short phrase. You now have 30 seconds to look at the notes.
Come on in, Peter. I've asked your tutor to wait outside for a bit, so that the two of us can have a real chat about what's happened. I hope that's okay.
That's fine. Mr. Engelman's just being a worrywart. I already told him that I'm fine. I just hurt myself is all. Look.
Oh, wow. Peter, that's a nasty bruise. How did you manage that?
It's more than a bruise, nurse. I had an x-ray earlier, and the doctor said that my arm is broken.
Oh, dear. How did you manage that?
Have you ever seen any of the Spider Guy movies?
Sure.
Well, in the second one, about halfway through, there's this one scene where he hangs off of the Empire State Building when he's being chased by Lido. Well, I share a room with my little brothers, Prentice and Polly. Prentice was Lido. Polly was a cop, and I was Spider Guy. Anyway, at around 7 a.m. this morning, I jumped onto my bunk bed trying to swing off of it into Prentice and Polly's, but missed, fell down, and landed badly on my side.
Oh, no.
That's not the worst part, nurse. I have a real stinging pain on my left elbow, and it's not just this bruise. My thigh's got a nasty one on the same side as well.
Well, I guess you and your brothers won't be playing that game again.
No, sir. It wasn't even my idea in the first place, but I've learned my lesson.
I hope so. So, Dr. Gessens asked me to check the fit on your cast and to make sure that you get a cold compress, too.
Is that like an ice pack?
Yes, it is. It'll slowly get warmer when it adjusts to room temperature, but if you find that that happens and you're still feeling the pain, then you can still get the same sensation by using a frozen bag of peas or something similar from the freezer at home.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, I can see on your notes that Dr. Gessens already prescribed you with painkillers. Is there anything else I can help you with today, Peter?
Nah, unless you know how to make time go faster. I really want to be better. My mom won't let me ride on my bike or skate, and it's such a drag. Why do parents have to be so strict all the time? I know that what I did wasn't the smartest thing I've ever done, but this is a little harsh, don't you think?
I don't think your mom's trying to punish you. I mean, what did Dr. Gessens say?
He said the same thing, pretty much.
I think they're both just worried that the increased physical activity might make your injuries worse. It's good advice, Peter. I would lay off the extracurriculars and concentrate on getting better. When you're feeling better, do me a favor and call in and ask Dr. Gessens for his say-so and further advice.
I will. Nurse, can I get a sling? Then everyone will know that I'm hurt, and it will look way cooler that way.
It's a good idea to rest it, so I'll see what I can do.
Thanks.
You're welcome. I'll ask for you to get an appointment to come back to see Dr. Gessens in 4 weeks' time for another x-ray to make sure that everything's healing nicely. It'd also give you a chance to get a new compress if you still need one.
Extract 2. Questions 13 to 24. You hear a speech therapist talking to a patient, Rana Anderson. For questions 13 to 24, complete the notes with a word or short phrase. You now have 30 seconds to look at the notes.
I must say I'm a little nervous. I've not experienced anything like this before, and as a singer-songwriter, I depend on my voice for my livelihood. I don't know how much longer I can feel like this. This choking sensation is bizarre to me. I don't want to be going through this for much longer. It's getting me down.
Nobody does, Mrs. Anderson, and we'll get to the bottom of this. You know, your voice problems, both speech and singing, are connected to everything. How you're feeling, what you're eating, everything. Tell me more about how you're feeling.
Weren't you listening to me? I feel dreadful. I can't do the thing that I've been doing for the majority of my adult life anymore, and it's an awful experience. To make matters worse, the sound of my voice has completely changed. My fans wouldn't recognize it if they heard me on the radio today. Do you have any idea what that feels like?
I'm so sorry that I don't, Mrs. Anderson, but I'd like to help if you'd let me. You said you noticed some changes. I understand that. Does this happen at a particular time of the day?
Mostly around mealtime. I notice both abnormalities immediately after I swallow something. I've no idea whether there's a connection, though.
I suppose what I don't understand is how this could have happened out of the blue like this. Has something like this ever happened before?
Not really. In fact, there's nothing remarkable, if you will, about my medical history. Since the stroke in '06, I've had no need to come here.
But it says you visited the clinic earlier this year.
Oh, yes, I had dysphagia, but other than that, nothing else out of the ordinary. I exercise regularly, don't smoke, haven't ever touched a drop of liquor either.
Okay.
I fear that my social life's going to take a hit. I used to be quite the social butterfly, outings, signings, concerts, even mingled with the locals by attending coffee mornings. Now I'm lucky to even get invited anywhere. I used to be the Rana Anderson. Now my so-called friends walk past me in the street. They don't even invite me walking in the mornings anymore.
I feel for you, Mrs. Anderson. Really, I do. Are there any other social events that you feel you can participate in?
Does smoking count? I enjoy joining the girls to do a bit of that.
That's hardly good for your voice.
That's true. Oh, I like prunes.
Oh.
Yes, sometimes I meet up with friends to try new varieties. Raw, shakes and cocktails are on the menu.
That sounds lovely. I hope you keep doing that. If you don't mind, I'd like to make some observations and run some tests. This requires me to observe you trying this platter here.
This one? Oh, wow, everything looks so yummy. I think I'll try a bit of this one here.
That's lovely. Now, whilst you're eating, I'd like to watch your breathing pattern to see if there's anything unusual. I'll do this for 10 to 15 minutes, and if necessary, I think what I'll do is prescribe you with some thickener.
What's that?
It's a way for us to increase the consistency of what you decide to eat.
That is the end of Part B. In this part of the test, there are 6 short extracts relating to the work of health professionals. For questions 25 to 30, choose answer A, B, or C, which you think best fits according to what you hear. Question 25. You hear a junior nurse talking to a senior nurse about a patient's potential death. Now read the question.
Would you listen to my analysis of this patient, please?
Yes, I can.
Mr. Swain was admitted with a contusion to the rib cage following a motorcycle accident in the early hours of this morning. He was rushed here from the scene in an ambulance and remained unconscious throughout. His vitals are stable with the exception of his blood pressure, which is high. According to the doctor's notes, it's equally likely that the patient will pull through this as it is that they won't make it. As such, we shouldn't be so quick to conclude that the patient is going to die. His next of kin have been contacted and his wife is on her way here as we speak. Does that sound like an accurate summary of this patient's condition based on their notes and this chart?
It does, thank you.
Question 26. You hear 2 nurses talking about an alcoholic patient. Now read the question.
You won't believe what I'm dealing with here.
Uh-oh, you look stressed.
It's Rosemary Granbury. She's back again after going on yet another bender last night. Ugh, dealing with alcoholics can be really draining sometimes.
Has she been here before?
Only a dozen times. The last episode was in May when she had a liver transplant. She was on constant watch because of her dehydration, which is when we actually noticed that she needed a donor urgently. You'd think that would have been enough of a wake-up call, but no, here she is again after picking fights at bars all night.
Wow. Still, I don't think it's our place to judge. We'll have to care for her, just like we do with our other patients, and hope she can make better choices moving forward.
Question 27. You hear 2 senior members of staff at a hospital talking. Now read the question.
Would you check something for me?
Yes, sure. What is it? You can ask me absolutely anything you'd like to, so long as it's not for a bed on this ward, because we're jam-packed like you wouldn't believe.
Oh, I'm wondering if there's any space left for just one more patient.
You have got to be kidding! Did you not just hear what I said? Seriously, I wish I could help, but I just don't think it's possible. The last I checked, there were 11, no 12 patients still waiting to be warded. Your patient's going to have to get to the back of the queue, I'm afraid.
I was hoping you wouldn't say that. He's been waiting for 4 hours already. I doubt either him or his already annoyed mother-in-law are going to be too pleased about this news.
Question 28. You hear an obstetrician speaking to a pregnant patient. Now read the question.
Come on in, Mrs. Fernando. Please take a seat.
Thank you, Dr. Fellows.
I have your file from Dr. Reynolds, but would you be so kind as to tell me, in your own words, the reason for your visit today?
Yes, you know I'm 6 weeks pregnant, and whilst I'm thrilled at the news, I'm absolutely petrified at the thought I'll be a mum again soon. You see, my late husband, Jean, passed away recently, and I don't know if I'm ready to be a single mother. I have a bridge partner called Eric, who's offered to pitch in, but I know he's just being a gent about the whole thing. I doubt he's planned to take up any real sort of paternal obligations. I think everyone would be better off if I just accept things the way they are and start looking at adoption options.
Is that the reason you booked the consultation today? Would you like me to help you explore that?
Yes, I think I would.
Question 29. You hear a conversation between a patient and his GP. Now read the question.
I've not seen you in a while. How can I help you today?
You mean besides the obvious?
Oh, right. Let's take a look. You know, I've not seen full-body injuries like this since my days as a trainee on the wards.
Not used to dealing with athletes, then?
Not for a while. That looks pretty swollen. You're an athlete, right? Which sport?
Soccer.
Were you playing when this happened?
Yeah, I had a game that didn't end too well. As well as losing 3-0, I managed to hurt myself too. Ordinarily, I wouldn't want to bother you, but I have a nasty feeling that my finger is broken, so I came here to get it checked out.
Let's take a look.
Question 30. You hear a conversation between two nurses. Now read the question.
Hi there, you must be Lindsay. I'm taking over from you.
All right, great to meet you. If you don't mind, I need to rush. Please don't forget that Bed 9 has quite a few care needs and is on a schedule. He'll need to be checked before 9 a.m, 12 p.m, and 3 p.m, okay?
Got it. Any idea what the most urgent needs are?
He'll need a saline IV. I just did one for him, so this can be left until noon.
Okay. Any medication that I need to be aware of?
Yes, he's taking lisinopril BD and will need this topped up at some point in the afternoon.
Got it. He's got scans coming up too, right?
Yes, he'll need an MRI first thing, so better get ready for that.
At 9, right?
Yes.
Part C. In this part of the test, you'll hear two different extracts. In each extract, you'll hear a healthcare practitioner talking about aspects of their work. 4 questions 31 to 42. Choose answer A, B, or C, which you think best fits according to what you hear. Extract 1. Questions 31 to 36. You hear an interview with obstetrician Jessica Day discussing fertility. You now have 90 seconds to read questions 31 to 36.
Hello and welcome to the Health Matters podcast. We'll be discussing fertility today with Dr. Jessica Day. Welcome to London, Dr. Day.
It's a real pleasure, Ricky. I'm absolutely loving the weather too.
For once, it's actually sunny here. So, today we'll be discussing the impact of the biomedical industry on fertility in general, and why more people are turning to tech for the assistance.
That's right. You see, the biomedical industry is booming in all parts of the world that have access to advanced technology, such as cancer treatment, medical, surgical treatment using cryotherapy, and laser management during invasive surgical procedures, as well as fertility treatment using frozen ova and ovaries. In general, fertility rates in women worldwide have decreased with the advent of feminist and neo-feminist movements. A lot of women these days who want to have children are opting to do so later in life after they've achieved all their educational and career aspirations. It is because of these women that many fertility treatment technologies are green-lighted. It would appear that in most cases, their viable ova are surgically extracted and kept in nitrogen at temperatures above 200 degrees Celsius for as long as they want, until they are ready. The ova are kept even past menopause for the women who desire starting families a little later in their lives. Furthermore, with the current increase in cancer rates in the world, many women find themselves contracting the disease and requiring aggressive cancer treatment. Most of the women with cancer who undergo chemotherapy and radiotherapy consider this a preemptive measure, preserves their ovaries that would otherwise be destroyed in the processes of cancer treatment.
I see. What would you consider to be the main asset of the fertility clinics, and would you tell us a bit about the research you were involved in recently and its global reception?
Sure. Where shall I start? Let's start with talking about how there are other forms of fertility treatments alongside freezing ova and ova donations. Sperm or ova donations, in vitro fertilization, surrogacy, and use of spare embryos, among others. Whilst awareness of these options is increasing, in the United Kingdom, for example, fertility treatment is still not as widespread as in the United States of America and other developed countries. There are countable numbers of fertility clinics that include London's Women's Clinic, Donors First Egg Bank, and London Egg Bank. Some of these clinics are considered to provide international and excellent services to their clients since they employ highly skilled personnel in reproductive health and many years of experience. The fertility clinic is also equipped with modernized required equipment, laboratories, and theaters. They also have high rates of success in all forms of fertility treatment. This is not, however, the only string in the bow of the clinic. London Women's Clinics works together with London Egg Bank in association with Cambridge University, also conduct award-winning research on women's responses and feelings towards fertility treatment, as well as their future fertility plans through ovary grafting. According to a study conducted on ovarian tissue and oocyte cryopreservation in European countries, the results showed that most European countries are embracing the advancing technology of ova cryopreservation.
But I hear there were some problems here in the UK that restricts the use of fertility treatment somewhat. There was a carve-out for cancer patients though. What is it about cancer patients that allowed them to be able to bend the rules, so to speak?
Well, in the UK, several rules govern fertility treatments, and there should be sound reasons why one should require ova cryopreservation, such as medical conditions like cancer or non-medical conditions, that one must give a valid reason for doing so. The rules are flexing as time passes, and several studies show that soon, many people in the UK will embrace fertility treatment. With regards to cancer patients, however, regulation is less strict. Patients are often given time to decide their future fertility goals and then make a choice on whether they want to have their oocytes preserved or not. In such cases, the government can help in funding the cryopreservation of the oocytes from the cancer patients, since it is for medical reasons. For non-medical purposes, the women needing cryopreservation is required of a certificate by the law, which is renewable after 10 years, and failure to do so, the process is considered illegal.
What happens post-fertility treatment then?
The women who preserve their oocytes for non-medical purposes do so to be able to help a couple in future who will be unable to have children, or even a relative like a sister with future fertility problems. After the women have finished their treatment or are ready to have a child, ovarian grafting or transfer of frozen embryos is completed in order to achieve conception.
Extract 2, questions 37 to 42. You hear an interview with hematologist Christine Ford about blood donation. You now have 90 seconds to read questions 37 to 42.
Hello, my name is Dr. Christine Ford. I'm a hematologist on a mission to make giving blood more accessible to the masses. Blood donations and transfusions go hand in hand in most cases. Sufferers of certain conditions like thalassemia, sickle cell disease, and hemophilia, for example, require regular transfusions. In fact, the number of people in the world needing a blood transfusion is increasing. In most countries, blood donations are voluntarily made, and the number of charitable blood donors has increased to 112.5 million people over the years. According to the World Health Organization, most of the blood donated by voluntary donors is given to recipients who are 65 years and above. However, in low-income countries, 65% of the blood donated is transfused in children under the age of 5. The donation rates still vary in both the low-income and high-income countries, in that high-income countries account for 32.1 donations, upper-middle-income countries account for 14.9, while lower-middle-income countries account for 7.8. It's likely that this is the reason why, even though theoretically donating blood should be purely voluntary, some states do offer financial incentives to encourage people to donate. Blood is often extracted from an individual who volunteers after screening for certain diseases like HIV/AIDS, Ebola, and hepatitis virus, among others, has been completed. It can either be transfused as a whole, or some parts of it like the plasma, platelets, or white blood cells only. According to the National Health Survey, whilst the majority of people are allowed to donate blood in the U.S., the practice is regulated. One such regulator is the Advisory Committee of Safety of Blood, Tissues, and Organs, who released new rules regarding the treatment of donors in 2017. According to a national health survey in the United Kingdom, the number of daily blood donors needed to provide enough blood for the number of transfusions that occur daily is 6,000 donors per day. Annually, the number of new donors needed by blood donation centers is approximately 200,000 people. To date, the majority of blood donations are made by people over the age of 45, spurring multiple campaigns aimed at encouraging young people to participate. Blood donation does not depend on ethnic characteristics, although significant efforts are made to encourage ethnic minorities to increase their engagement with blood centers due to the significantly lower number of registered donors from diverse populations. So first, let's consider the characteristics of the ideal donor. The person must be fit, healthy, and free of viruses like HIV/AIDS or any type of cancer. Ideally, they would weigh between 7 and 25 stone and would be between 17 and 66 years of age. As an exception, previous donors can be aged up to and over 70 years old if they have given blood within the last 2 years. Assuming the aforementioned criteria is met, there is a preference for male donors over female donors, as their additional average body weight means that they are likely to have suitable iron levels. Furthermore, their platelet count is usually higher, and as such, they are on average able to give blood more frequently, every 12 weeks opposed to every 16 weeks for women. After a suitable donor is found, in order for a blood transfusion to take place, the blood must be screened, and it must be ensured that it is safe to use. The grouping and cross-matching of the donors and recipients' blood are also important prior steps. During the transfusion process, the recipient must be keenly monitored for any reactions to the blood being transfused. In addition, their vital signs like blood pressure, temperature, and pulse rate, among others, should be observed quarter-hourly and documented correctly throughout the whole transfusion process. Part of my mission to demystify the process of becoming a blood donor is speaking to people who have either given blood in the past or have given it serious consideration. Using an anonymous survey, I ask them why they decided to partake in this altruistic and life-saving act. I find that by anonymizing the results, we are able to elicit more candid responses, meaning that the reasons I hear are rather surprising. The majority of people cited reasons such as that the good it does far outweighs the slight discomfort during the procedure, or words to that effect. However, every now and then, I'd come across a story about a person who felt that they would have died if it wasn't for their donor, and the stranger who made blood available to them. The new lease of life they now have has made them so grateful that they wish to pay the kindness forward to someone else. Regardless of the reasons they gave, it was rather surprising to find that not a single participant cited monetary reward.